So, welcome to another First Chapter Friday. I have a book that was inspired by going out to the movies. I did go and see 28 Days Later. 28 Years Later. And I saw the commercial for the sequel to this book. The first book was turned into a movie, and that was in 1997. And the book and the movie had the same name, and it's by Lois Duncan. I Know What You Did Last Summer. So in that 1997 movie, which I have not seen, I'm going to go watch it. And then in my end outro, I will tell you what's different from the book. It had some really top A young adult actors, and that really brought it into popularity, the book. Then just recently, I have reread it by listening to an audiobook, and many of Lois Duncan's books, since they were so dated, this is before cell phones, it's before the internet really was in everyone's homes, they have been republished to bring up the technology. And the audiobook that I listened to did have more modern technology, and the characters had more modern type of jobs in it. So that's pretty cool too. Anyway, I'm about to begin. Chapter 1. The note was there, lying beside her plate when she came down to breakfast. Later, when she thought back, Julie would remember it. Small, plain. Her name and address hand-lettered in stark black print across the front of the envelope. At the time, however, she had eyes only for the other letter, long and white and official, which lay beside it. Hurriedly, she picked this up and paused, glancing across the table at her mother, who had just come in from the kitchen. "It's come," Julie said. "Well, aren't you going to open it?" Mrs. James set the coffee pot down on its hot plate. "You've been waiting for this long enough. I would think you would have had it open before you even sat down." "I guess I'm scared," Julie admitted. She slipped her forefinger under the corner of the flap. "Okay, here it goes." Running her finger the length of the envelope, she drew out the folded sheet of stationery and smoothed it flat on the table. "Dear Miss James," she read aloud, "I am pleased to inform you that you have been accepted." "Oh, honey," her mother gave a little gasp of delight. "How wonderful!" "Accepted," Julie repeated. "Mom, can you believe it? I'm accepted. I'm going to Smith." Mrs. James came round the table and gave her daughter a warm hug. "I am so proud of you, Julie, and your dad certainly would be too. If only he could have lived to have known about it, but there's no sense in looking backward." Her eyes were suspiciously bright. "Maybe he does know. I like to think so. And if not, I'm proud enough for the both of us." "I can't believe it," Julie said. "I honestly can't. When I took these tests, I felt as though I was missing so many questions. I guess I knew more than I thought I did." "It's your senior year that made this possible," her mother said. "I've never seen such a change in anybody as in you this past year. The way you've buckled down and studied, you've been a completely different person. And I'll admit now, it's worried me a little." "Worried you?" Julie exclaimed in surprise. "Why, I thought you always dreamed of me going to the same college that you did. Last year you were on me all the time about being out too much and never cracking a book, and spending half of my life on cheerleading practice." "I know. It's just I never expected you to do such an about-face. I can almost pinpoint the day it happened. It was just about the time you broke up with Ray. Mom, I told you." Julie tried to keep her voice light, despite the sudden shock of cold that hit her stomach. "Ray and I didn't exactly break up. We just decided we were seeing too much of each other and we'd slow it down for a while. And then he left home and took off for the coast. and that took care of it. But to give up dating so completely. I haven't, Julie said impatiently. I still go out some. In fact, Bud's coming over tonight. That's a date. Yes, there's Bud, but that's only been recently, and it's not the same. He's older, more serious about everything. Of course, I'm happy and proud that you've put in enough work to get accepted by a good Eastern college, but I wish you'd been able to balance it better. Somehow, I have the feeling that you've missed a lot of the fun of your senior year. Well, you can't have it all, Julie said. Her voice sounded high and sharp, even to her own ears. The cold feeling in her stomach was spreading higher up where it touched her heart. She shoved back her chair and got up. I'm going up to my room. I've got to find my history notes. But you haven't eaten yet, Mrs. James exclaimed, gesturing to the plate of scrambled eggs and toast still untouched on the table. I'm sorry, Julie said. I guess I'm too excited. She could feel her mother's worried gaze as she left the table. Even after she was out of eyesight, the worry stayed with her as she climbed the stairs and went down the hall to her room. Mother knows too much, she thought. She has this funny way of knowing more than you ever tell her. I've never seen such a change in anyone, her mother said, and I can almost pinpoint the day. But you can't, Julie had told her silently. Not really, and you mustn't try. Please, Mom, you mustn't ever try. She entered her bedroom and shoved the door shut. It closed with a sharp click, and her mother was left behind, back down in the breakfast room with the uneaten eggs and the coffee pot. The room closed protectively around her, a perfect room for a teenage girl who was pretty and loved and happy with herself. A girl who has never had a problem. Her mother had the room decorated for her a little over a year ago, on her 16th birthday. We'll have it done in any color you want, she had said. You can choose. Pink, Julie had said immediately. It was her favorite color, the one that she wore most often, even though she had red hair. There was a pink ruffled blouse in the farthest corner of her closet, buried behind the other clothes. It had been new that night last summer. You look like a tea rose with freckles, Ray had teased her. It was a beautiful blouse, but she had never worn it after that night. She would have given it away if she had not been afraid that her mother might remember it sometime and ask what had become of it. Now she seated herself on the end of her bed, drawing deep, slow breaths, while the cold within her faded and her heart grew still. This is dumb, Julie told herself firmly. It's been almost a year since the thing happened. It's over, it's done with, and I swore to myself I'd never think about it again. If I let myself get this uptight over some innocent little comment of Mom's, I'll just wind up right back where I started, an absolute wreck. Across from her in the oval mirror over the bureau, another Julie looked back at her, pale and unsmiling. I have changed, she thought with mild surprise. The girl in the mirror bore little resemblance to last year's Julie. Bubbly, bouncy, spark plug of the pep squad, the cheerleader with the smallest eyes and the biggest yell. This girl had shadows behind her eyes and a tightness about her mouth. You're going to Smith, Julie told herself. Just keep that in mind, will you? You're getting out of here in only a couple of months. You won't be going to the university. You'll be going east, away from this town, and the road, and the picnic ground above it. You won't be running into Ray's mother at the drugstore. You won't see Barry on campus or Helen on the TV set. You'll be out free, a new place, a new group of people, new things to do and think about, a whole new set of things to remember. She was steadied now. Her breathing was slow and even again. She picked up the letter from Smith, which she had dropped on the bed beside her, and looked again at her name neatly typed on the official-looking envelope. She would take it to school with her, she decided. There were people there who she could show it to. Not the kids, especially. There weren't any kids that she was close to this year. But Mr. Price, her English teacher, would be happy for her, and Mrs. Busby, who taught American Studies. And tonight, when Bud came over, she would show it to him. He'd be impressed and sorry, maybe, because she would be going away. Bud had been calling so often recently that it was possible he was getting a little more serious than he should have. It would be good for him to realize that this relationship wasn't going to turn into anything, that it was just for now, and that in the fall she would be somewhere else. There was a rap on the bedroom door. "Julie," her mother asked, "are you keeping track of time, dear?" "Yes, no, I guess I wasn't." Julie got up off her bed and opened the door. "I was just sitting here gloating over the acceptance. Honestly, I just about given up hoping. It's been so long since I applied." "I know," Mrs. James said sympathetically. "And I didn't mean to take the wind out of your sails by criticizing. I know how hard you've been working. And I've just been afraid you were overdoing it. I'm glad that now you can relax and enjoy your summer." "I'm glad too," Julie said. She put her arms around her mother and gave her an impulsive hug. Her mother's arms came back around her, surprised and glad. I ought to hug her more often, Julie thought. I don't deserve to have somebody like this for a mother. I love her so much, and I'm really all she has since Daddy died. Now I'll be going away and she'll be alone, and she's still happy for me. "Are you sure you'll be okay?" she asked against her mother's soft cheek. "Can you get along, do you think, with me so far away?" "Oh, I think so," Mrs. James said with a catch in her voice which was supposed to pass for laughter. "I made it out all right before you were born, didn't I? I'll keep busy. I've been thinking that maybe I'll go back to work full-time." "Would you like that?" Julie asked. Her mother had been a home economics teacher before her marriage, and since her husband's death 8 years ago, she had been working as a substitute. "I think I would. It would be nice to have my own class again. With you out of the nest, there won't be anyone to need me at home, so it's time to be needed somewhere else." "I did lose track of time," Julie said apologetically. "I'd better start running." Her mother glanced at her watch. "Ooh, you are late. Would you like me to drive you?" "That's all right," Julie told her. "I haven't had a tardy slip all year, so it won't kill me to get one today. And maybe I won't. Mr. Price is pretty all right guy about things like that." She gathered up her books and history notes from the bedside table. Downstairs she paused long enough to rummage in the penny bowl on the sideboard for some lunch money. "I'll see you after school," she said. "Bud's not picking me up until around 8, so there's no reason we have to eat early." "Are you going out any place?" "I don't have any plans," Mrs. James said. "Wait a minute, honey. You didn't get your letter." "Yes, I did. It's right here in my notebook." "No, I mean the other one." Her mother leaned across the table to pick up the second envelope, half concealed by the edge of the egg plate. "There were 2 pieces of mail for you this morning. Not that this could possibly be as exciting as the first one. It's the size of a party invitation, though I can't think who would be inviting me to a party." Julie took the small envelope from her mother's hand. "That's funny. The big block printing. And no return address?" She tore the envelope open and removed a folded sheet of lined paper. "Who's it from?" her mother called back over her shoulder as she carried the breakfast dishes into the kitchen. "Anybody I've ever heard of?" "No," Julie said. "Nobody you know." With slowly growing horror, she stared at the letter, at the one black sentence that peered up at her from the smudged paper. "I'm going to be sick," she thought. Her legs felt weak, and she reached out and caught hold of the edge of the table to steady herself. "It's a dream," she told herself hopefully. "I'm not really awake and standing here in the dining room at all. I'm lying in bed upstairs asleep. And this is only a nightmare like the ones I used to have back in the beginning. I'll close my eyes. And when I open them, I'll wake up. It'll be gone. The paper will be gone. It'll never have been there. So she closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, the paper was still there, in her hand, with the short sentence printed on it. I know what you did last summer. It isn't a big book, and it was very popular. I love that these movies are going to bring back that popularity. And as you already could tell from just this first chapter, it is very dated. I mean, nowhere on earth are you going to pick up pennies in order to get a lunch. And, where it was talking about TV, everybody streams really, and then there's just like having reread this just recently, there's a whole lot of other things. But I will come back and I will tell you what some of those differences are, and I will give you the rest of my review. Okay, thanks for listening so far. Anyway, the book I thought was better. I know, shocking, right? A lot of people thought that the 1997 movie was an improvement because there was a lot more scare, psychological thriller action to it, and definitely it became more of a horror slasher movie, which spawned a whole bunch of other horror slasher movies. I like this book more because it seemed a lot more plausible, and the main characters, the thing that they did last summer, which I won't say exactly what it was, but it involved a child, a 10-year-old child. Whereas in the movie, they created a different character, which created different relationships, which created completely a different type of motivation all around. And the main characters, who they are in the movie, is vastly different than who they are in the book. And I liked who they were in the book better. I think it pointed out when something traumatic happens, how some people are just, they are so self-centered, for instance, that, nothing's going to faze them because, what? It doesn't affect them now. Other people will throw people under the bus in order to protect themselves. So it brought out, the event brought out different aspects of how people deal with things. For one of the characters, the character completely had PTSD. And the book version is taking place during Vietnam. So that was also kind of an allegory with how people coming back from Vietnam deal with the trauma that they faced. Nothing like that in the movie. Watch the 1997 movie and then watch the 2025 movie for probably the best of I Know What You Did Last Summer. I did also want to say there was something, the book ended really abruptly, and I thought that was kind of cool. I'd love your take on it. If you go and read the whole book, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.